Alright, everyone. I've just gotta come out and say this. I made a risky financial venture when I decided to buy Dragon Age the Veilguard as a pre-order. I was following the news about this game and decided that despite what it sounded like mid-gameplay, terrible writing, and crowds of people calling the game too woke, that I would risk giving it a shot. After all, Bioware was once the pinnacle of the RPG world. Games such as Dragon Age Origins, 2, Inquisition, the Mass Effect trilogy. These are kingpins in the Bioware franchises. They've been the storytelling and writing kings for what should be in a game for a long time. Now, before anyone says it, there's a few people out there, maybe a lot, that say Andromeda was a bad game. I didn't too much mind it myself. I can understand the criticism, but as a standalone piece, I could tolerate it, and I don't think it's on any level near what Veilguard is. But what happened to a studio that produced masterpieces like those games? Surely, Bioware couldn't let Dragon Age the Veilguard completely flop, could they? Well, I played it, and oh boy. I bought this game under the sole hope that BioWare could produce an intriguing story where I wanted to finish the game because I enjoyed it, not solely because I wanted to see what happened in continuation from Inquisition and the Trespasser DLC. I'm going to admit, I was wrong. And I was not wrong because the story didn't have the potential to be interesting, but the quality of writing in this game is something I would expect from somebody who's in high school, at best. Now, whether it was the really extremely repetitive dialogues exclaiming about coffee, the Venatori, the gods, Docktown, or Treviso, and every other sentence, or the fact that the romance options were seemingly written by someone who may have never actually interacted with another human being in their lifetime, or even the sole matter of the too upbeat tone of the game. This is not, was not, and will never be seen as a true BioWare game. Dragon Age the Veilguard is a shell. It had all the potential in the world, but it failed to deliver in almost every single category. Now, before I get too critical about this game, I want to say, it did a few things right. I want to say the main story of the game was engaging enough to keep you playing. Now, despite me being critical about the quality of the writing, the finale was actually very well. I enjoyed it. It was probably the best part of all the writing in the game. The finale was done very well. And I finished the game with a very good playthrough. I did all the side objectives, maxing out all my companions, and I felt pretty satisfied with the decisions I made and the ending I got. Graphically, the game looked amazing. It's not revolutionary, and it's not like I'm ever going to see a game this quality in my lifetime again. No, it's not over the top, but it was pleasant to look at, and I didn't have any complaints. Performance-wise, I played from day one. I saw no FPS drops, no stuttering, and overall, the game felt very polished and it ran very well. Now, likewise, for the things Dragon Age the Veilguard did well, it managed to do the rest terribly. I mentioned before that the writing was terrible. I mean this with every ounce of my being. There were times where I could tolerate the conversations, or otherwise felt indifferent about what was going on, but there are more than several times during this game that I physically cringed when conversations were ongoing. That is something I have never encountered in any video game, much less any role-playing game I have ever encountered. I have not once, until Dragon Age the Veilguard, cringed at dialogue in a game. Now, I want to make this very clear. I don't blame that on the voice actors. I don't think it had a problem with who is speaking, but what they were given to say. And getting into this writing problem, the companions. Oh my god. Their quest lines. I can't say I hated any of the companions, but it was an incredibly overwhelming effort to say I actually enjoyed all of them and wanted them all on my team. Not that I got a choice. To get the best ending for the good playthrough, I had to befriend everyone and support them through everything. That's something I made of my own free will, and I don't regret doing that. But it's quite wild, in my opinion, that I can't tell a companion to shove off. I can't say, no, we're not doing this, or I don't want you here. There's absolutely no option to pick and choose. Your rook is always forced to say yes and be supportive. Now, about the companions, I have outliers for the worst companion. And I have two people in that role. The first is Bellara. I really like the character. I want to like her. She's got, the entire Tinkerer thing going on. Reminds me of PB from Mass Effect Andromeda. But she just seems like she fits the role of a Disney production more than a Dragon Age character. Or we can talk about the elephant in the room, Tosh, who comes across as a complete asshole until the very end of the game, especially if you don't have their affinity maxed out. And this is the one I really want to capitalize on. Tosh was one of the companions that created the most uproar in Dragon Age the Veilguard. We really need to approach the fact that all the air around Tosh is kind of just awful. They come in, immediately starting fights, disrespecting other team members such as Emmerich, and overall just have a completely ton of out-of-touch, disturbing writing, and very preachy cutscenes. I think the basis to the character is cool, and supporting them through their journey to find out who they are is certainly neat. But the way this character was written is arguably to agitate the player. I mentioned this previously. You're not allowed to call Tosh out for instigating fights or disrespecting others. It's a standing proof of how badly the writers at Bioware failed. And we can't even broach the topic of how Tosh is written to sound like a socially inept teenager. Now, moving on from the writing and the companions, I can't comprehend how in 2024 we have such a bad customization for characters in an RPG. Now, what the heck's going on here? I'm a big buff guy. I like to play as a big buff guy. But even I was astounded by the lack of variety in body shape and size for both female and male options. Every character kind of felt like a cutout. Flat, nobody had any relative curves, nothing extremely stood out while I made my manly man character. And nothing extremely stood out when I messed with the female character either. I don't care what options are in the game. I don't care what you want to make. If you want to make a character that looks like it belongs in Saints Row, or you want to make a character that looks like a dream model, do what you want to do. I just don't understand the weird lack of choice in the character customization. It was really strange and out of place for a AAA game in 2024. And maybe my second biggest gripe in this entire game was the combat. Oh my god. I don't think after 10 hours you'll actually be able to stand the combat. It gets so repetitive, there's no nuance, you're stuck repeating the same combos over and over again, and you'll rarely ever have to turn on your brain or maybe occasionally use a potion. If you're going for a completionist run like I did, you're about to slog through 60 to 70 hours of brain-numbing combat. Honestly, do yourself a favor. Set the difficulty to easy so things die a lot quicker and you can just move on with your day. It loses all enjoyability really fast, so get the most out of it while you can, and then you'll arguably be trying to avoid getting in combat if you can help it, just to save yourself the time. That ended up what happened in my playthrough. If I could avoid a fight, I just ran away. Now, overall, I gotta conclude with the fact that I don't think Dragon Age the Veilguard is an awful game. I think I could give it a 6 out of 10 if I was being completely fair and level with everyone here. You can play it. It's not too terrible that you'll want to quit playing it, but once you finish it, you're never going to pick it up again. It proves the writing and narrative design at Bioware is a shell of its former talent, and if you seriously want to pick up this game, wait until it's on sale. Do not pay full price for this game under any circumstances. Now, with all this said, I hope you leave a comment with your thoughts about the game. Now, if you stuck it out with me this far, why not leave a like and subscribe? I will catch you all in the next video.